Today I'm going to show you how to get 3 beginner-friendly eyeshadow looks using only 5 eyeshadows. The palette I'm going to use today is the Natasha Denona Mini My Dream palette. Now to me this is a perfect small neutral palette that you can create so many different looks with. This little palette has 3 matte shades. You have a light, a medium, and a dark. And then you have 2 shimmer shades, one in more of the mid-tone range and one a little bit lighter. So for me, having all of these shades together is perfect, and ever since I got this palette, I cannot stop using it. This palette is $27, and if you want to buy it through Natasha Denona's website, my code ANGELABRIGHT can save you some money on top of that. And then all of the brushes I'm using today are by Sigma. They will all be linked down below. Sigma has my favorite eye brushes ever. I've been using them for 10 plus years now at this point. And also the code ANGELABRIGHT can save you some money on Sigma's website if you want to check out any of the brushes that I use today. I'm going to show you how to do 3 eyeshadow looks today. The first one is more of a very soft matte look with a matte half wing. The second look has a little bit more glam to it where I used one of the shimmer shades. And then the last look is on my eyes right now. It's more of a soft glam halo eye. And I wanted to keep all of these looks very beginner friendly, so I'm not wearing any false lashes with any of these looks. I am just wearing mascara. Let's go ahead and get started with the first look. For all of these looks, I'm priming my eyes the exact same way. I use the Milani eyeshadow primer, and then I like to set the primer with a translucent powder to give me a really smooth base to work with. The powder I used is the Lunar Beauty one. I'm going to start with the lightest matte shade on a fluffy packing brush, and I'm going to start by packing that throughout my entire crease. So I'm going all the way from my inner crease all the way to my outer crease. So this shade's gonna add a little bit of definition throughout your entire crease. And then using the tip of that brush with that same shade, I'm gonna run that across my entire lower lash line. Next, I'm going to pick up the medium matte shade. So I'm using the same exact brush for this, and I'm going to pat that shade on the outer part of my lid. So you want to start by packing the shadow on the outer part of your lid, and then once there's less pigment on your brush, you can kind of move your brush around to soften out that shadow. So wherever you place your brush down first is where you're going to get the most pigment. Now I'm going to pick up more of the light matte shade and just add that to the inner part of my lid. Next, I'm going to take a small angle brush in the deep matte shade, and I'm going to use this eyeshadow as a little liner. So I'm just going to stamp that along the outer part of my top lash line. That's why I love that this palette has such a deep matte shade in it that you can use it as an eyeliner. You could totally stop there and just make it a nice line across your eyelid like that. But I think I want to do a tiny little wing with this deeper shadow. So when I do my little wings, I like to relax my face and just draw a line kind of following my lower lash line outwards. And I'm just lightly flicking out that shadow. So that is pretty much it for the eyeshadow for this first look. Now, if you are using this palette, there are no super light like highlighting shades in the palette. So if you like to do a shimmery inner corner, you can grab your highlighter or another palette to pop that right in the inner corner. I personally love a little shimmer on the inner corner, so I am gonna do that with a different palette. And I'm just gonna go into my palette that I created with Sigma. And I'm gonna take the shade Bright, which is the perfect highlighter shade in my opinion. And that's gonna go right in the inner corner. Again, if you have like a face highlighter, you can totally use that for this step as well. I went ahead and curled my lashes and popped on my favorite mascara, and that is the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara. And here's the final look at this all matte eyeshadow look. Let's get started with the second look. Again, my eye is primed the exact same way. So to start this look, I'm going to take the slightly deeper shimmer shade on a flat lid brush, and I'm going to apply that all over my eyelid. I love how neutral leaning this shimmer is. It's not too warm, it's not too cool toned, it is right in the middle. And I have this shade on my entire eyelid, and I kind of went up into my eye socket, so you can see when I press my brush in like that, I am at my eye socket. Now I'm going to take a crease brush with my light matte shade, and I'm going to blend this shadow throughout my entire crease. So this is going to help to blend out the shimmer, but also add some definition in the crease. Now on the same crease brush, I'm going to take my medium matte shade, and I'm going to lightly stamp that on the outer part of my upper crease. You can see I'm not on my eyelid right now, I am in my crease area. So I'm keeping this shadow up higher in my crease, and now I'm just softly blending it out. Now I'm just going to touch up that shimmer shade on my eyelid since it did get a little blended out with all that blending, but it's no big deal. Now I'm going to switch to a small firm blending brush for the lower lash line, and on this brush I have a mixture of the light and matte medium shades, and I'm going to run that across my entire lower lash line. Now on my crease brush, I'm going to take the tiniest bit of the dark matte shadow. I just very softly dip my brush into that shadow. I'm going to lightly pack that on the outer part of my lid for a little bit more depth out here. And so because I picked this up on a fluffy brush, it's going to give me a much more diffused look than if I were to pick it up on that like lid brush, for example. So I'm just doing a very light patting motion, and you can make this dark shade as deep as you want. You can definitely build it up, but I'm going to keep it a bit softer today. And then I also picked up a little bit of that deeper matte shadow on my small firm blending brush, and that's going to go along the outer part of my lower lash line. And this deep matte shade is very pigmented, so when I say a little bit of shadow, I really mean I'm barely dipping my brush into that shadow. I'm gonna go ahead and add on my inner corner highlight. I also like to bring a little bit of the highlighter under my brow as well. Again, I went ahead and finished up this eye with just some mascara, and here's the final close-up of this eyeshadow look. And then since I have both of these eye looks on right now, you can kind of see the difference side by side. So again, this one is all matte with the little wing, and then we have this one with some shimmer and a little bit more depth on the outer corner. Let's get started with the final look, and I think for this one, I want to do something a little bit more glam. I'm going to start with my fluffy packing brush in the medium matte shade, and I'm going to start by packing that on the outer part of my eye. And then whatever's left on my brush, I'm going to go into the inner part of my eye, because I am going to do a halo eye today. And it's okay if this looks a little sloppy at first because I am going to clean up all of these edges. So I'm just doing a patting motion to kind of blend out this medium shade, and you can see that I'm leaving the center of my lid blank. Now I'm going to take a small crease brush in my light matte shade, and I'm going to use that to blend around the edges of the medium shade. So I'm pretty much blending throughout my entire crease. I'm blending on the outer crease right out here, and then all the way into the inner crease. So I think you can definitely see how much smoother all of these edges are now. Now I'm taking more of the medium matte shade on the tip of my fluffy crease brush, and I'm gonna run that across my entire lower lash line. And then again, taking my light matte shade on my small crease brush and using that to soften out the edges. So pretty much I have the medium matte shade wrapped around my entire eye, and the center of my lid is blank. Now I'm going to take this lighter shimmer on my finger and I'm going to pat that in the very center of my eyelid and bring that up into the center of my crease. And I'm using my finger because I want a lot of pigment for this shadow. So it looks like that, and you can see this like super harsh line right there. I'm just going to take my small crease brush and just kind of feather out the edges of that shimmer. I love that shimmer shade on the lid like that. Now on my small crease brush, I'm going to take the tiniest bit of the dark matte shadow. Again, I just did one little dip into that shadow to get this much pigment, and I'm going to lightly tap that on the outer part of my lid. So I'm going to start out here, and then whatever is left on my brush, I'll bring onto the inner lid. I don't want too much pigment on this inner lid, but just enough to give it the definition that it needs. And as always with these deeper shades, you can keep building it up till it's as deep as you want. Then I went ahead and picked up more of that shade on the tip of my small crease brush, and I'm gonna run that across my entire lower lash line. Like I said, I want this look to be a little bit more glam, a little bit smokier, so I am adding more of this deeper shade. And then finishing off with my inner corner highlight. And I'm gonna add a little bit under the brow as well. Again, I just went ahead and finished up this look with just some mascara to keep it easy for you guys. And here's a final close-up of this more glam halo eye. Here's what the full face looks like with that final look. Let me tell you what else is on my face. On my lips, I'm wearing the Makeup Forever lip liner in Wherever Walnut with the Lawless lip plumping gloss in Nudie on top. And then for my blush, I'm wearing the My Mini Dream Glow blush that was part of the collection with the Mini My Dream palette. I love this blush because you have two matte shades and then a highlighter mixed in, so you can kind of customize the kind of blush look you're gonna get. I hope that you learned some eyeshadow techniques in today's video. As always, I'm gonna link everything I used today down below, including the brushes. Don't forget, if you want to check out this palette on Natasha Denona's website, my code ANGELABRIGHT will save you some money, and my code ANGELABRIGHT will work on Sigma's website if you want to check out any of the brushes that I used today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.